In the heart of the vast, untamed wilderness, where the canopy of ancient trees stretched high into the sky and the sounds of nature formed a symphony, lived a man named Kofi. Kofi was a solitary figure, a black man who had chosen the forest as his sanctuary from the chaos and prejudice of the outside world. He had found peace in the depths of the forest, where the air was clean and the only judge was nature itself. Kofi's story began in a small, bustling city where he grew up facing the harsh realities of racial discrimination. From a young age, he felt out of place, burdened by the weight of society's expectations and prejudices. He longed for a place where he could be free, where he could live by his own rules and connect with the earth. One day, after a particularly difficult experience, Kofi decided to leave it all behind and set off on a journey into the unknown. He walked for days, leaving behind the concrete jungle and its cacophony, until he found himself at the edge of an expansive forest. The trees stood like sentinels, welcoming him with open arms. He stepped into the forest, feeling an immediate sense of belonging. The further he ventured, the more he felt the forest calling to him, offering solace and a new beginning. Kofi built a modest cabin from the wood of fallen trees, respecting the natural order and only taking what was necessary. He learned to live off the land, cultivating a small garden and foraging for wild berries and herbs. The forest provided everything he needed: food, shelter, and a sense of purpose. He became a skilled hunter, tracking deer and other game with a deep respect for the animals that sustained him. The forest was not just a place to live for Kofi, it was a teacher. He observed the cycles of nature, learning the ways of the animals and the secrets of the plants. He found wisdom in the changing seasons, understanding that life was a series of transformations, each phase with its own beauty and purpose. The forest taught him patience, resilience, and harmony. Over time, Kofi became a guardian of the forest. He protected it from poachers and illegal loggers, using his knowledge of the land to outsmart those who sought to exploit it. His reputation grew among the local communities who respected his dedication and wisdom. People began to seek him out, not for his ability to live off the land, but for his counsel and the serenity that surrounded him. Kofi's solitude was occasionally broken by visitors who wandered into the forest, lost or seeking something they couldn't quite name. He welcomed them, offering food and shelter, sharing stories by the fire. He listened to their troubles, offering advice rooted in the simplicity and truth of nature. Many left transformed, carrying with them a piece of the forest's magic and Kofi's quiet strength. Years passed, and Kofi grew older. The forest, too, evolved, but their bond remained unbreakable. He had found a home where he was free to be himself, where the color of his skin was irrelevant, and where his spirit could soar. In the embrace of the forest, Kofi had discovered a profound truth, that peace and freedom come not from the world outside, but from within. One crisp autumn morning, Kofi awoke to the sound of leaves rustling and birds singing. He stepped outside his cabin and took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill his lungs. He knew his time in the forest was nearing its end, but he felt no fear. He had lived a life of purpose, guided by the rhythms of nature. As the sun rose, casting a golden glow over the trees, Kofi sat on a fallen log and closed his eyes. He listened to the symphony of the forest one last time, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. When he finally opened his eyes, he felt a presence beside him. It was as if the forest itself was saying goodbye, thanking him for his stewardship. Kofi smiled, knowing that he would become a part of the forest he had loved so deeply. His story would live on in the whispers of the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the songs of the birds. The forest had given him a home, a purpose, and a legacy. In return, he had given it his heart. And so, the forest guardian rested, his spirit forever intertwined with the land he had cherished. In the heart of a vast, ancient forest, where the trees stretched their limbs towards the heavens and the undergrowth whispered with secrets of the ages, lived a black man named Kofi. This forest, dense and enigmatic, was known to the locals as the Forest of Whispers. Kofi had grown up hearing tales of the forest's magic and mystery, tales passed down through generations. One cool autumn morning, Kofi decided to venture deeper into the forest than he ever had before. Armed with nothing but a simple walking stick and his unshakable curiosity, he stepped beyond the familiar trails into the unknown. As he walked, the sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. The air was rich with the scent of pine and earth. Kofi had always felt a connection to the forest. His ancestors had lived in harmony with these woods for centuries, and he often felt their presence guiding him. As he ventured deeper, he came across an ancient oak tree, its trunk wide and gnarled with age. This tree, he knew, was said to be the guardian of the forest. He approached it with reverence, placing his hand on the rough bark. Suddenly, a soft, melodious voice filled the air. "Welcome, Kofi. I have been waiting for you." Startled, Kofi looked around, but saw no one. The voice seemed to come from the tree itself. "Do not be afraid," the voice continued. "I am the spirit of this forest, and you are destined to hear my story." Kofi listened intently as the spirit spoke of a time long ago, when the forest was young and vibrant. It told of how humans and nature once lived in harmony, respecting and nurturing each other. But as time passed, greed and ignorance led to the forest being exploited and its spirits forgotten. "You, Kofi, have the power to help restore the balance," the spirit said. "You carry the wisdom of your ancestors and the strength of your heritage. You must teach others to respect this land and rekindle the bond that has been lost." Moved by the spirit's words, Kofi vowed to dedicate his life to protecting the forest and educating his community about its importance. He spent the following years organizing conservation efforts, teaching the children about the plants and animals, and sharing the stories of the forest spirits. His efforts bore fruit, and slowly, the forest began to thrive once more. Wildlife returned, trees grew stronger, and the streams ran clear and pure. The people of the nearby village rediscovered their connection to the land, living in harmony with nature as their ancestors had. Kofi's legacy endured long after he was gone, his name remembered with reverence and gratitude. The Forest of Whispers, once fading into legend, became a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of one man's dedication and the timeless wisdom of the natural world. And on quiet, moonlit nights, if one listened closely, they could still hear the whispers of the forest, telling the story of Kofi and the spirit who believed in him.